What is going on, everybody? It is Flash back with some more charts, another video. It's Thursday, May 15th, 3:11 p.m. Eastern. Getting this video out for you guys a little bit earlier today. I just took a bunch of screenshots of all the charts and threw them into a PowerPoint. Gonna go through all my tickers today. Can't believe it's already middle of May. Time is flying and the bull market is bulling. But it's my pleasure to do this stuff for free for you guys. So if you want to help support the channel, tip jar is in the description or in my X bio. So feel free to drop me a tip if you guys are open to it. Otherwise, feel free to just enjoy the video. We're going to start out here today with the Bitcoin Rainbow Wave, the power law indicator with the pi cycle top indicators kind of overlaid on top of it. You can see I kind of have a near 300K target outlined here, middle end of October. Are we going to get up there? I'm not sure. Are we going to surpass that? I'm not sure. I'm kind of just here to observe and let you guys know what I'm seeing and kind of help you or at least give a perspective, like a zoomed out perspective, right? You know, I myself am guilty of zooming in on the hourly candles, you know, the 4-hour candles, the daily candles, but I think it's super important to just zoom out, have that bigger perspective. So all in all, still tracking in accordance with the power law and the rainbow wave indicator. So onwards and upwards. If we look at the same indicator, same Bitcoin chart, just on the regular scale instead of the logarithmic scale, I say this every video, but the Bitcoin network is getting stronger every day, every week. It's getting more secure and more robust. So this is the path to freedom, in my opinion, in terms of hard, sound money. So good to kind of have perspective and to zoom out, again, even on the regular scale. Next is the NASDAQ measured in Bitcoin. Not a ton to talk about here, but just shows the power of Bitcoin over time. All right, now let's get into Bitcoin. We're on the daily time frame. And so Colin Talks Crypto was kind enough to drop his indicator and with the correlation box specifically. So that allows me to post that onto my chart and then kind of move the M2 day offset, you know, up a couple days or down a couple days to see what the correlation is, you know, with 30, 60, 90 days specifically. So here's the 81-day offset of global M2. And I would say, you know, it's right in line. We're kind of seeing some dippy price action right now, even though it really hasn't dipped a whole lot. And so, you know, you can see in the upper right-hand corner, this kind of takes us to maybe 150, 160, 170K by June or July or August. You know, that we don't really know where it's going to go. It's just kind of a guidance, kind of a path, you know. So good to kind of have an open mind with this and to stay flexible. But so far, you know, the last 30 days, it's about a 90% correlation. Last 60 days, about a 90% correlation. So things are looking really good when it comes to the M2 offset. You know, the global liquidity in the system ultimately leads to the path for Bitcoin. Another look and feel of this is, again, this is the 81-day offset again. Just kind of took out the noise and I made it kind of like a moving average, if you will. So I think this is like a 7-day moving average. So just kind of smooths out price. Again, we're going to aim to zoom out and not get so caught up in, you know, day-to-day movements, hour by hour movements, but zoom out and, you know, this is the path for us, I think, if we're going to follow the M2. Again, this is an 81-day offset. All right, next up is Bitcoin measured in gold. So power law does exist when you measure Bitcoin in gold, which is good for us. We want to be outperforming also the second hardest money, that being gold, in my opinion. So this looks good, pointing to higher prices for us. You can see kind of a cup and handle, you know, with that target going to, you know, 110. I think, yeah, it's 32 today, so 100. So assume like a $5,000 gold price. If we multiply that by 110, that gets us to a 550K Bitcoin. You know, that what if we do 4,000 times 110, 440K. So, you know, this is kind of pointing to, yeah, Bitcoin could reach 4 or 500K and we shouldn't rule it out. So again, this is just a ratio, but big accumulation pattern that we're just about to exit when you measure Bitcoin and gold. And it points to, you know, some pretty substantial price moves for Bitcoin. All right, now let's look at MSTR. This is on the 12-hour. And so you guys are familiar with this chart. Again, this is on extended hours, so those bands on the top and bottom channels, they're a little bit messed up because I drew them on the regular hours. But I think this just goes to show, again, zooming out is key. If we look at the ballistic acceleration model from MicroStrategist, 150K, 200K, 250K Bitcoin ultimately leads to 1200, 2800, and 5700 MSTR, which is just nuts. But that's what the data is showing, and I'm going to continue sticking to it. But yeah, we'll zoom in a little bit onto MSTR. Here we are on the 4 hour. And so I know I talk about zooming out. I do want to just give you guys a taste of what I'm seeing on the 4 hour. And yeah, we're kind of dipping a little bit, but I would expect price to shoot right back up tomorrow, I think. We're going to hopefully stay in this channel, which is going to take us to that $1,200 price point. And here it is, MSTR on the daily time frame with a 55-day offset overlaid. So on the 55-day offset overlaid on MSTR, it's about a 93.1% correlation for the last 30 days. And so, there's a little bit of a dip in price action today. That lines up quite nicely with a dip on that global M2 on the 55-day offset. So I think, this could hold true, but ultimately, if we continue to follow this, I wouldn't be surprised to see MSTR hit 1200 by mid to late summer. So I'll keep tracking this for you guys. But again, thank you to Colin Talks Crypto for giving this indicator out and allowing us to kind of play with the offsets. All right, next is MSTR measured in gold. Again, bigger picture idea, bigger picture time frame, but ultimately I think we'll kind of follow up this channel a little bit and hopefully tag that top gold band. That's pretty far up there, I will say. But that is also kind of a ratio of 1-to-1 up there, you can see on the right hand side. So again, if gold is $5,000 and this is a ratio of 1-to-1, that puts MSTR at $5,000. Okay, that's kind of the beauty of ratios. You can kind of understand where things are headed when you compare two assets together. But I do think, we have a big rounded bottom on the bottom left. I do think we'll see another rounded bottom accumulation phase after this big run up. So that's just kind of, again, the 4-year cycle potentially coming into play. I think that will affect MSTR, and it's just super visible when you measure it in gold. All right, MSTR measured in Bitcoin. So this is, I'm not too concerned, honestly. Like, I have this blue channel up here for a reason, but we are kind of retesting that gray horizontal bar, right? So hopefully we're just breaking out and testing that as support before we continue to run higher. But ultimately, we do want MSTR to outperform Bitcoin, right? Otherwise, we could just hold Bitcoin, in my opinion. But so I'll keep an eye on this, guys. We're at a ratio of 0.0039 right now. So ultimately, we want to get back to 0.004 and beyond and get a breakout beyond that orange line. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. All right, next we have Metaplanet. I just figure I might as well cover a couple other, Bitcoin treasury companies or, companies that have Bitcoin with a core strategy. And so you've heard a lot about Metaplanet, I'm sure, on X, on YouTube. But I mean, this chart just looks amazing, right? You talk about the torque that they're able to create, by selling their stock and buying Bitcoin. I think they do it a lot faster is what I'm kind of reading. And so, the time machine that, Metaplanet could be, they're aggressively accumulating, and so it's evident in the chart. Looks pretty good. Next one is the blockchain group, and this is on the 3-day. So what I'm seeing here is kind of like a big base, and ultimately, the way this thing is just going straight up right now. And so we'll see if it can continue. I mean, I know they're aggressively buying Bitcoin as well, and they have their own strategy. And so I think you'd want to see this break out of that. I think it's like that 2.4 level. And then we'll see if that can continue to run or if it's going to consolidate. Ultimately, looks really good. Next one is Asset Entities, ASST, and this is on the 1 hour time frame. So this is just kind of playing around, but pretty interesting, right? There was a huge pop when they decided to turn into a Bitcoin treasury and strategy company. So we'll see if that's a breakout and retest and if that's going to resume upwards, right? So I'll keep my eye on that for you guys. And then last one I think is, Cantor Equity Partners. This is on the 6 hour. So again, a huge pop, and then looks like a consolidation. So we'll see how that one plays out. But I think just kind of fun to just track these and see how they perform day over day, week over week. Ultimately, guys, I hope this was helpful for you. Again, just a zoomed out perspective. Again, tip jars in the bio, in the video description. Drop me a like if you guys found this helpful, and I'll see you all in the next one.